Name and town to 081-200-6659. Hashtag Learn on One. Invite learning in.
Today on One, always there. Today on One, your daily dose of local affairs and social media commentary. Today on One, Namibia management announces salary cuts on payday. Aquino not telling the truth, says Landless People's Movement. Role modeling vital in sexual and gender-based violence prevention. And NRU reflects on 2018-2019 financial year.
Namibia staff represented by the Namibia Transport and Allied Workers Union held a demonstration outside the National Airlines headquarters in Windhoek to demand their full salaries for the entire financial year after management announced plans to cut their salaries.
Give them 3 days to pay our cleaners and our airport staff full salary. Yes. Otherwise, we are in this office together.
We have received the concerns from the employees, and we will obviously discuss them internally and revert to undertake within the course of the day still. That's all. Thank you.
According to the petition submitted by the union, Air Namibia staff forfeited their leave days for the past 4 months, which allegedly amounted to 16 million Namibia dollars to save the financially troubled national airline, which has been in survival mode for a number of years.
The employees have given up their leave days for the past 4 months to save Air Namibia funds, amounting to 16 million. If employees gave up 16 million, what has management given up for us to save the airline? If the salary cuts are affecting the employees that were at home and not management, who was management managing to justify them to get 100% salary? Employees are very disappointed by the way Air Namibia management are making decisions on their own without consultation with all union partnered with Air Namibia. Employees demand their full salary for the whole financial year as promised by the shareholders and unions.
The employees also demanded the removal of the new interim chief executive officer, Tiomberirwa, a former banker and telecommunication executive who was recently appointed to financially transform the national airline, which has for years enjoyed constant government bailouts.
Employees demand immediate removal of Mr. Tiomberirwa as he is not the right person for aviation in Air Namibia. He is an anti-unionist and does not have the interest of the workers' right. Because numerous correspondence have been written to the interim chief executive's office requesting for a consultation, but it all resulted fruitless. The managing process, including the inability to manage the airline. Employees demand that the board and shareholders to appoint someone with Air Namibia with qualification in aviation to take control of the running of the business. Employees demand to know what Air Namibia management's plan is for the next 3 to 6 months on operation and revenue generation in future.
Natal union representatives also recently aired their dismay regarding President Hage Geingoob's comment at the SONA on the possible liquidation of the national airline. The union called for the president to issue a commission of inquiry into the affairs of the board to unearth whether there are any possible cases of mismanagement at the public enterprise before the liquidation can take place.
I'm Sam.
I'm also Sam.
Meet my little Sam. Only the best for my Sam.
No two people are the same, so why should their cover be? New personal cover from Old Mutual lets you build the cover that's right for you and your budget. The time is now to get personal cover that's just for you. SMS cover to 66522 today.
The Landless People's Movement is calling out the City of Windhoek spokesperson for not giving accurate information regarding the family that has recently been evicted from the Achterland informal settlement. The previous owner has provided documentation and photos to prove that he has been residing on the plot since 2008, as the City of Windhoek only sold the land in 2011. According to the evicted owner, he had multiple meetings with the City of Windhoek CEO Robert Khaimise, who had promised him that no one with a structure will be removed.
And Mr. Akwenye, he said City of Windhoek will never sell land where others are already residing. Well, I got news for you, Mr. Akwenye. These people have been here since 2008, and City of Windhoek sold the land only in 2011. What has got? Where is Mr. Akwenye now? We are challenging him. There is proof. These people, they are neighbors. They are witnesses. People that arrived in 2009 who found Mr. Hinkari here. That character called Akwenye. He's just sitting there and lying. He doesn't even do any research, I think. He doesn't even know what's going on in the books of the City of Windhoek. That is why for him, he can just sit there and say there was nobody residing on that land prior to 2011.
He went to the City of Windhoek representatives and they put up the beacons. When they went to that area to put up those beacons, that is in 2011, when he bought this area, there was nobody occupying that area. So meaning you are staying on the area ever since 2011. Meaning Mr. Hengari occupied that area after it was bought by Mr. Kairua.
The recently evicted residents have provided photographic evidence that they have been living in the area of Achterland since 2008. The City of Windhoek sold off this piece of land to a private owner in 2011, but the pictures that I have in my hand depict a different story. As you can see from these photographs, most of the structures, including the school named after the Chinese Communist leader Mao Zedong, were not present when Mr. Ruben Hangari arrived at this land.
Theophilus Kaira is the one who's supposed to came here and broke my house. The person who broke my house is that one. He was carrying the oath of quota, which is not him for him, and broke my house. What is that? Huh? This guy is supposed to come with a messenger of the court and city police. It's not with Theophilus' name. He come and broke my house. He say he buy the earth from Theophilus, and he must know he's not the one who's supposed to broke the house.
Today on One spoke to other residents who have been assisting Hangari and his family, and this is what they had to say.
In February, we made a meeting with the CEO, where we have talking about the issue of these apps also, and he make it clear to us that all the people that is sitting on these apps, they must not move, and they will be the first people to be giving opportunity to buy these apps. So we split 3 meetings with the CEO, and we even come to the solution where they even call us to bring in the payslip, the ID, and all the requirements for the process to go through. After giving everything, our brother has been evicted from his apps.
The City of Windhoek employee, they are the one who making corruption. Why I'm saying that? They are selling. There is a people on the waiting list. Since from 2004, till 2020, a person who make appointment or application for the earth in 2011, he got it. How?
We need earth from municipality. We need earth. We need the land to stay. We are not here to stay here just for a while. We just want the land to stay for a long time, the rest of our lives. So we are suffering and we are tired for this suffering now. We are very tired on this.
The place Mr. Ruben Hangari and his family has called home for over 12 years was torn down in the blink of an eye, and they have been left on the street for the past week and a half. Leston Voller for Today on One.
What we do not get right in our families, protecting our children from harm, preventing domestic violence, alcohol and drug abuse, the lack of love, conflict, abusive behavior and language, when that fails within a family, it becomes a reality for our society, says the country's First Lady in the wake of escalated sexual and gender-based violence cases, stressing the need for the correct role modeling in households.
The man who rapes his daughter, the man who breaks into the shack of a stranger, rapes her daughter, the daughter in front of the mother, is not an animal. That is somebody's uncle, that is somebody's brother, that is somebody's son. Those are our community members. It's our community producing these people. People, not animals. Whatever they are is a reflection of us.
The First Lady of the Republic of Namibia, Monica Genkos, during a Royal Hustlers interview with 99 FM, revealed that sexual and gender-based violence has been an epidemic for the country, with the root cause starting in families who over the years have tolerated it, urging Namibians to take accountability and responsibility for the problem.
We are in a gender-based violence epidemic. We have been. What we have not been doing is accepting that this is a crisis. It is a crisis. And what we also not doing, and it's something that concerns me about many societies, not just in Namibia. Read any newspaper about something that went wrong, whether it's in government, whether it's in private sector, whether it's an individual. The first question Namibians want to ask, whose fault is it? Who's to blame? Who's to blame? When it comes to GBV, we are all to blame. From the neighbor who doesn't report, from the mother who doesn't believe her daughter, to the man who uses his physical power as a way of commanding authority over the body of somebody else, to the person who does not believe in respecting women. How we speak to and about women is important. Especially men speaking to and about women in front of young boys is important. So a gender-based violence epidemic like the one we are in now did not start yesterday. They normally start decades ago. Boys who've seen their fathers beating their mothers have been proven themselves to utilize violence in the resolution of conflict. Mind you, violence is a way of communicating. Yeah. We know that children who've been raised in homes where there's been alcohol or drug abuse have a higher likelihood of either becoming absolute teetotalers or themselves abusing the same substances. So how we speak, how we act, we are children watching, and they replicate that behavior. So role modeling the right behavior becomes so important.
The gender-based violence program project leader within the Office of the First Lady, Veronica Tron, at a media briefing said that effects of SGBV are long-lasting on the victims, calling on members of the public to be proactive in the prevention of SGBV and protect the vulnerable groups in their communities.
We see on a daily basis the complexity of sexual and gender-based violence, and that's why we also don't want to focus on one case per se, because there are so many other cases that also need our assistance. So I would also like to plead to the community to say, stop to work fragmented and in silos. Let's come together. If the police are the ones to do the arrest, let social workers and other partners do public education and focus on prevention. But also let the criminal justice system do everything that is in their power to make sure that the perpetrators are brought to book. We can see in the last few months that it's organized, well-planned crimes that are committed. And that's why we would need whatever we can put to the table, bring experts together and let's sit and strategize. How do we best help the vulnerable communities?
The First Lady further noted that although law enforcement's late response to cases is concerning, prevention is key, further encouraging Namibians to do more in preventing SGBV cases through a holistic approach.
I often see the police took long, the case, the courts, and many of those complaints are true. Let's not make it seem as if it's a minor issue, but the reality is we need to do a lot more on prevention, because police, courts, that's response to an incident. So we need to start looking more at the root causes of what causes this. And I tell you, Shay, we can say what we want. The root cause starts a lot within our families. The tolerance of violence, how our parents relate to each other, even if we even have parents in the house. How we treat one another, whether we report, whether we believe, whether we assist. These are the things we need to root down.
Win free airtime with hashtag #LearnOn1. Share your comments on the lessons. SMS your feedback, name and town to 555. Hashtag #LearnOn1. Invite learning in.
The Audit and Risk Committee of the Namibia Rugby Union reflected on the union's 2018-2019 financial year at a media briefing in Windhoek. The committee also produced a governance and transparency report as part of its strategic plan for 2020 to 2023. Vice President at the Namibia Rugby Union, Walter Don, has highlighted governance as an important part of an organization. Don announced that Namibia Rugby and its business arm, Namibia Rugby Ltd, have all recorded an operating loss in the last 2 years.
For the period ending December 2019, the NRU made an operating loss of 632,000 approximately Namibian dollars, and the loss in 2018 was $105,853,000. Whilst the Namibia Rugby Company recorded a loss of about 14,527. It needs to be mentioned that the NRL, the company, has ceased to exist and is dormant. All rugby activities in our country, as per the Constitution, are now functioning under the leadership and governance structures of the NRU. When we started with the planning of the Namibia Rugby Union for the next World Cup cycle, we set ourselves a couple of objectives, which inter alia include a brand reorganization and also instilling some values into the Namibia Rugby Union. And I think if it's not the first, this is the first in the history of Namibia that a federation produces a governance and transparency report of its activities for the past year. In line with our values and to ensure transparency in the Namibia Rugby Union's operations, we are pleased to provide all stakeholders with an updated report on governance. This is also part of our efforts to rid the Namibia Rugby Union of negativity around its brand and to ensure that we communicate in an open and honest way about the affairs of the Namibia Rugby Union.
Asked by the media if the NRU has any plans of reviving its finances, Namibia Rugby Union Audit and Risk Committee Chairperson Julia Shipago responded by saying that a detailed plan will only be available after the financial year has ended in December 2020.
Our year ends on 31 December 2020, so the financial results will be out first quarter of 2021. Only then can we give any sort of detail. However, as you are aware, with the global pandemic, a lot of plans that we had have been put on hold, and with that, the money that was planned for it has also been put on hold. We haven't received any sort of sponsorships. Companies that support us are also going through the same. So we are currently just working on a worst case scenario budget, and which is just to ensure that we retain the staff that we need. We take care of all our administrative costs, just to make sure that for the next World Cup cycle we are able to partake and be ready to take up any further plans that might come along. But at this stage we are on a very lean budget.
The union's president Corey Mensah said they have cancelled all rugby activities for this season, with the new season only commencing next year.
In other leading stories, listed telecommunications operator Paratus Namibia Holdings Limited announced its annual financial results for the period ended 30th of June 2020. P&H delivered a commendable revenue of 431.9 million Namibia dollars and profit after tax of 25.4 million Namibia dollars. Earnings before interest, tax, depreciation and amortization also went up 53% to 101.2 million Namibia dollars on a 12 months like-for-like basis. The gross profit margin increased from 47.5% to 49.4%, mainly due to the rollout of own infrastructure. The financial results announced cover a longer financial period of 16 months due to the change in the group's year-end from February to June. Paratus Group CFO Stefan de Bruin said that they are pleased with the performance and resilience they have demonstrated throughout the financial year. They are in a very privileged position to be able to yield substantially higher results than last year, driven by a combination of revenue growth, improved operating margins and cost management. The higher profit after tax and cash flows from operations have enabled the board to declare a final dividend of 10 cents in addition to the maiden dividend of 10 cents per ordinary share declared in May 2020. The impact of the global pandemic, coupled with lockdowns and regulatory restrictions that were imposed, resulted in several changes in the market. There was a 6.5% immediate revenue risk from the tourism industry that was under lockdown from March 2020. However, with many businesses implementing their business continuity plans, numerous employees from different industries had to work from home, resulting in a significant increase in data top-up revenue and new connections. And as part of its projects to mitigate the effects of COVID-19, the German embassy supports about 70 more families in need, this time in the area of Marienthal. A total of over 28,000 Namibia dollars from the embassy's micro-project fund was made available as an immediate measure to purchase food packages. The packages included staple foods and were distributed to the community members by the Women's Missionary Society, an organization of the African Methodist Episcopal Church in Marienthal. The families chosen by the members of the WMS are the elderly and most vulnerable members of the community. The WMS normally serves its congregation members in need through fundraising and donations. Due to the severe impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, even more families were affected. The church reached out to the German embassy for assistance, and through this joint effort, the embassy is glad to be able to support this project in Marienthal and surrounding areas.
Welcome to Comments Corner, your daily dose of local comments from the hottest social media pages. Detective Warrant Officer Jafet Simon, a unit commander for the Criminal Investigation Unit at Bravo Police Station, Wolfish Bay, and a manager at Janjapan Car Sales, Farhan Katri, have been arrested on corruption charges. The duo offered and paid a bribe to a senior prosecutor at the regional court in Swakopmund for Katri, who is accused in a rape and human trafficking case, not to be found guilty when his case goes to trial. It is further alleged that the suspects aim to ensure that Katri's bail conditions are relaxed to allow him to get his passport back as he intends to travel to Pakistan. Tommy thanked the prosecutor for refusing to accept the bribe. Joanna said, how are Namibians supposed to feel safe if they cannot trust officers of the law? Brendan said that the containers leaving Namibia for other countries should be thoroughly checked, as they could be used to smuggle kids. Dave said it is all bribes and games now until your own child is kidnapped and trafficked. The city of Windhoek, in collaboration with the National Housing Enterprise and the Ministry of Urban and Rural Development, embarked on a project to deliver 10 affordable houses to beneficiaries in Greenville, Matongo. Pala said this was a good move from government. Pa said, how can one build a house without burglar bars and windows? Kamui said they should at least build 10 houses each month. Betty awaits to see if more houses will be built after the elections. Oleg said it is election time again, but government has not done so well on housing. And that is all from Comments Corner. Be sure to post your comments on our social media pages for broadcast every day only on Today and One.
A look at the weather forecast. The Namibia interior partly cloudy and hot in the Zambezi region with a few showers. Elsewhere sunny and hot but warm in the Clarence region. The coast partly cloudy and cool to warm, and the wind fresh northwesterly to westerly. Now we look at minimum and maximum temperatures across the country and beyond.
BBC World News, the biggest African and international news stories.